Good day, everyone, and welcome to lesson 14 of our CompTIA A Plus Core 2, Managing Windows Networking. That is going to be our topic for today. If you're following us, I want to say congratulations for all what you've learned so far. I'm looking forward to us finishing this program, CompTIA A Plus, when we get to lesson 20. So that will be the end of our CompTIA A Plus. And if you're not joining us, I would advise you to subscribe, click on the subscribe button so that I can be getting latest videos from us. So not just this, we're going to do so much. After this CompTIA class, we're going to move into networking and practicals. We're going to upload so much practicals. Then we're going to move to cyber securities and on and on. So we have so much. So I will advise you that you subscribe to this channel. Okay, so lesson 14, Managing Windows Networking. Okay, so our objective for this lesson is configure Windows networking, troubleshoot Windows networking, configure Windows settings, security settings, and manage Windows shares. This is going to be our objective for this topic. So we're going to look at how do we configure a Windows network, how do we set up and make a Windows network work. Now, the first thing we need to understand is that in a network environment, we have two kinds of networks. So we have the wired network and we have the wireless network. So the wired network, is the one that we have to use a network cable. You have networking devices. We call it Ethernet with the network ports. Then of course you go to device properties of the adapter. Then sets all the necessary parameters to ensure that the network works, right? Okay, so like you could see here, you could see what we have here on the screen now. Now this is a typical example of a wireless network property. So this is a wireless network. In a wireless network, this time around we are talking about a network without network cable, so wireless. So everything is just all you have to do is just have a wireless antenna. So we call it a wireless network card. So have it on your laptop. Then you're going to go into the properties of that adapter you're using. So when you go there, like we have here now, this computer, you can see the type of brand of the wireless network is TP wireless USB adapter. So that is it now, right? Now the wireless mode is has to be automatic, right? So that's the wireless mode for this. Okay, so now let's look at more details into wireless networking. In wireless networking, the network must have name. So if you are just joining us for the first time, we've in our previous classes we spent so much time explaining about wireless network, wired network, the cable type, different kind of cables, Cat5 cable, how to make them, so I would advise you to go to our previous video, right? Okay, and we'll just talk about the wireless network too, how to set it up and stuff like that, which we're going to do the practicals and upload as well. So the wireless network, like a normal network, must have a name, which we call the SSID. It's called the service set identifier. That is going to be the name of the wireless network. So that means that any other person that needs to join that network, they must be able to identify that name of that wireless network. If they cannot identify the name, then they can be able to join the network. So, and you have to understand that in most cases, the wireless network, they are always on broadcast for everybody to see, right? But there's a situation where you can disable the non-broadcast so people doesn't see it. So a way of security, alright, just disable it. Now let's take a look at, for example, now let's see if you want to see all the network available. This wireless icon network. I'm going to click on it here now. When I click on it, I'm going to go to display. This is a wireless network. Go there. Now you see here, you can see all these are wireless network available within this range where I am right now. Good. So within the range where I am right now, so all these are wireless networking that you can see. So all these are broadcast network. They're all broadcast. That's how you can see the name, right? Now you could hide your wireless network so that nobody sees it. So that will call non-broadcast. So during the process of setting up your router, on the interface, you can just disable broadcast So we do it like that. Nobody gonna see it. Nobody gonna see your wireless network. So it's a way of a little bit of adding security. Okay, so that's that. So we just explain all these things about the wireless network and device management properties and stuff like that. So for wireless networking, you just have to go to the name of the adapter, all right? There you can be able to access it. Now, for demonstration street, I could just show you. In our previous classes, we'll show you how to maneuver, how to go to all these places, especially to control panel, how to manage your OS and so many things in your Windows. So we said this, we said in our previous lessons. Right, so our advice is to go back to our previous things. So we talk about managing of Windows. So we explain those things. Now, if we have to, for those of you who are joining for the first time, just briefly, I'm going to show you, right? So if you have to go to manage our networks, how do we start? We can go to control panel, right? So I'm going to say control panel here. So I'm going to say control panel, right? So it's going to take me to control panel. This is control panel. I can see network and internet device. I'm going to click on it now. So what do I want to do? See, if I need to view network connections, connecting network, view network computers. So what do I want to do now? I want to view network status and tasks. I'm going to click on this one. All right, excellent. So right now you can see I have two connections here. I have a local network. I have what the public network. So this public network you can see is actually a Wi-Fi network, right? This is a LAN network. Take a look. This is Wi-Fi network. This is LAN. So this LAN network here is what we normally call our wired network. So it needs a cable. You understand? Now let's do something else. Now we want to know the name of this adapter, right? We can come to change adapter settings. Go there, right? Yeah. So what do you see here? Look at it now. This is our Wi-Fi network. Sky up. That's Wi-Fi network, right? So you can see the band of network. Look at the band. Intel dual band wireless. That's it. So I'm going to say right click on it. Then I'm going to say properties. See properties. Yes, right. So now see, you can see, yeah, these are some way to, you can see the name of the network. If you want to do more configuration here, we'll come here. All right. If you want to say configure, all right, then configure, we can go to advanced, right? So these are what you're going to see, right? So you can take a look at more of the things that we could find out here. You can go to details and on, right? Okay. So more so, I can also go to status to show the status of the wireless network. I could see, how it's performing, right? Okay, excellent. So this is how to be able to check the properties of your adapter. Okay, fantastic, good. So let's continue. So I'm just going to close all this. Good. So that's that. So the next thing we'll look about is IP addressing, right? Now, if you're using a wireless networking, right, you don't need to bother about IP address. Why? Because IP addresses are assigned manually or automatically. Again, for those of you who are just joining us, we've gone very far. We've talked about IP address, static manual IP addresses, dynamic IP addresses, DHCP server. We explained all these things in our previous lessons, even DNS and on. We explained so many things. So I would advise you to go back to our previous videos and follow up so I can understand this very well. Okay, so IP addresses actually there are two forms of IP addresses, which are version 4 and version 6, right? So we know that IP address is just a unique way to identify computer networks, like numbering streets. You number streets, houses on the streets, so that you can be able to identify the residents owner who live in what part of the street. So that's the same way IP addresses is. In IP addresses, you must be able to what? Number every computer on the network, give them a number. By giving and identify a computer on the network that it can be located on the network, right? They can carry packets from one destination to another. They can compute other computers. So that's IP addressing. So there are two types of IP addresses. We have version 4 and version 6. Now version 4 IP addresses is the most popular one and the most widely used one. But again, it has limited space, right? It has limited number of computers. It cannot take up to 4 billion computers worldwide. It's limited. It cannot do that, But if you move on to version 6, version 6 is unlimited. It can take as on the eczema as you could just number them. It could take so many users. That is version 6. So version 6 is large. It can take so many computers, And again, version 4 IP addresses, we call it is a 32-bit IP addressing scheme. While version 6 is a 64-bit IP addressing scheme. We've said so much about IP address, so I'm not going to spend more time explaining them here, right? Because previously we said so much. So just know we have version 4 and version 6. Version 4 is the most popular user you see mostly, right? Good. So now what are I saying? We're saying that in IP addressing, you could go to the computers and put the IP addresses manually, or you could do it automatically. Manually means you have the network administrator, who will go to each of the computer and type the IP addresses by itself. Or you can have a server, you set up a server called DHCP server, which is called Dynamic Configuration of IP Addressing. It's called, this means Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. So you set it up, initial setup, you want to set it up. Then when you're setting up, you put all the IP addresses you want to put an exception on the addresses. Like for instance now, if your router is using a specific IP addresses, you need to create an exception so that IP address will not be given to other concerning network. So you create exception for that, for your router. Then every IP addresses, you can put it there to be assigned to computers. So that is the way of assigning IP addresses that make dynamically, right? So as you do that, then which means on your client computer, instead of to go and put the IP address manually, you just say obtain IP address automatically. For instance now, take a look now. Let's go back again to control panel. This is control panel. We're going back to control panel again. So here we are. So this is control panel. I just want to show you this. Okay, so let's assume this is our local network, right? We open it, open an internet record. We go to the properties, right? Then here we are now. Good. So go to IP address version 4. So we're looking at this IP address on 4. See? Then I'm going to say properties. Good. See? So right now, you see that this IP address is static IP addressing. It's static. You understand? This is static one. Somebody have configured this IP address there by itself. So if you don't want to do it manually, you can do it automatically. That means you have a system that is already configured to supply IP addresses, which we call DHCP server, or we call it dynamic IP addressing. So what did you once you set it up, then you come here and say obtain an IP address automatically, then okay. So once you've done that now, that means what? Your system will automatically get an IP address from a DHCP server. Excellent. So that is that. Okay. So we just explained. So the next thing is a default gateway. Now, the default gateway is very important for you to be able to go outside of the network, because we have a local area network, also have a wide area network. A local area network are computer within a domain, within themselves. They communicate within themselves. They don't go out to that within that network to just communicate within themselves. They don't go out. Now, if you're going to go out, like out from the the local network to an external network, then they need what? A default gateway IP address. In this case, it's a router. For instance, now if you are working normally on a computer and you don't use the internet, you don't need the default gateway router. So when each time you need to go outside the network, maybe you need the internet, then you need the default gateway address. Alright, good. So what's the default gateway address? A default gateway is that link that takes you out on the network. If for instance now, I connect a router to my network, so that router is one that will supply me internet, right? Automatically that router becomes my default gateway, because it's one that is standing in my local network that will take me out. So that router is not my default gateway address. So what it means is that in the router I must put what? An IP address. I must give the router an IP address. Must. So I can say this router is 192.168.1.1. I put the IP address there. So I put it there, which means the router, must at all time, take my packet outside the internet, outside my network to the internet. The same way you can bring packets from the internet to my network. So each time the traffic is coming in, that's to go to the router. So that router IP address has become my default gateway address, right? Then we also have our own called DNS, domain name system. So DNS is, it's just like an IP address, but in this time DNS doesn't do its numbers. DNS deal with names of the computers. So your computer must be given a name. So each computer in the network must have a name. You know. So each computer must have a name of the network. So you give the computer a name. You name them according to the users of the computers. If for instance we have 10 computers, you can say computer one. You can give it the user's name. Computer one in account department is bearing Sam, so you could say Sam computer one. So what happened is that each time the computer is trying to connect to the network, right? So the network will identify the name of the computer, right? Say for instance, name of the computer is Sam. So the network identifies that this computer name is Sam, right? And the IP address is, for instance, 192.168.1. So together with the computer name and the IP address, that's how DNS is known there, because DNS means domain name system. Because without a name, your computer cannot join a domain network. So when you have a domain network, an enterprise network, they must have a domain. If you ever have heard about Active Directory, right? Good. Active Directory is what configures systems to join domain. So DNS is a very integral part of Active Directory. So DNS is what ensure that the computer can be identified on the network through the computer name. So that is DNS. So again, in our previous classes, we've explained DNS. So I would advise you to also go back to our previous lessons, and I think you should just start all over from lesson one. Start from lesson one up to lesson 14 where we are today, and you can finish up. So we still have 6 more lessons to finish up A plus. So I advise you start from the beginning and follow up all through, right? Okay. So we explain static and dynamic IP configuration. So we explain this as well. We explain this. Okay. So this is just like we explained now. These are IP addresses, version 4, IP addressing scheme. So we just take a short look. This is an IP address. This is version 4, 192.168.1.100. Subnet mask 24. So 24 means I'm gonna have a special training on IP addressing. After A plus class, I'm gonna have a special training on IP addressing where I will explain all these things one after the other in detail so you can understand. So I advise you to stick with us, stick with our channel. So here we have the gateway address. We explain it. So this is a router address that takes us outside. DNS address. DNS address is the system that hosts all your computer names. We call it DNS. So DNS, domain name system, they convert IP address to computer names, and the same way convert computer names to IP addressing. So we can also have alternative DNS address too. Okay, so that is that. Okay, so the next thing now is network location, right? So network location is very important that you understand, the public and private network. You understand? So network location awareness, control whether host, discover and sharing enable. So in your system, when you go to networking, on settings, you're going to see public and private network. So when we say public and private network, we are actually referring to a network, right, that is hosted publicly, like internet. So the private network brings us back to our LAN, our local network, right? Now also similarly to, it's very important that you understand that the fact that you are using a network doesn't mean that you have access to information in the network. No, you must not. Or rather, if your computer, for instance, now has some files that is shared to be used on the network, right? Now, if you don't enable discovering and sharing, right, which means you will not have access to share the resource on the network, and similarly to others to can have resources to your shares on the network. So you must go to network settings and network, then enable sharing, right? So we can just do that quickly, right? So we just do it quickly. So let's take a look at how to enable that. So again, I can go to, let me just go here straight up. You will see something now. I can go here, then I can see Wi-Fi settings, I think this is okay. I can go here in this place now. Just see, this is a VPN internet Wi-Fi. Just want to take a look at something. If you don't get it here, I think control panel is always the best way. Okay, let's take a look at this on advanced settings. Okay, so here we have advanced properties. To take a look at this one now. Okay, excellent. So this is what we're saying now. You can see public network, like we said, discover network discovering. So here you see PC can be found and be found by PC. Your PC can be found and be found by other devices on the network, like we explained. You on it, right? File sharing and printing. So allow users on the network, allow others on the network to access shared files and printers on there. So this is how you get that done, right? Okay, so that is already explained already. Excellent. Okay, so let's continue. So now firewall is a very important feature in Windows. Firewall is very important. So a firewall prevents an intruder from onto your computer. Not just an intruder, it could be a program, a software from having access to your computer, or using the resource or your service on your computer. A firewall can do that for you. So setting up firewall is very important, right? Setting up firewall is very important. How you set up a firewall can either prevent an intruder or allow an intruder. So normally by default, when you get it, when the system is installed, firewall by default are enabled on all Windows operating system. They are enabled. So that means that you cannot, no computer can access your network. So you can go out, right? But no computer can come into your network. You can go to the internet browse because your firewall is set. So when firewall is set on your computer, nobody comes in. It's just only you going out. So that is one thing about the firewall rules, right? And firewall is huge. Is huge. So I could tell you that you can create an exception in firewall. Like for instance, now if you have if you're using a network, right, and you have several users on the network, you can prevent maybe 10 users from accessing your computer and allow 1 users. It depends on how you create firewall rules. So firewall is huge, right? So just understand that. One thing to understand about firewall is that by default, firewalls are enabled on all computers. They are active on all computers. It's always active. So that's why at times, if someone is trying to ping your computer, they can only to ping your computer in network because firewall is on. So if you are doing networking and you cannot ping a computer, the first thing you check is firewall. Just go and block the firewall so that I can disable the firewall and I can allow others to do that. It's very easy. How do you access firewall? You can go to your Windows and say Windows firewall. See, this is Windows firewall. So you can say firewall, right? Then you can take a look at this. So we have Windows Defender firewall. You can go here. You can go to allow on and so we can go here and see. So here we are now. So these are more advanced ways to set firewall. Right? These are more advanced ways. So we go to change settings. So these are the more advanced way of setting firewall. So for you now, I think we should just skip this. Let me look for a lesser way to do firewall for you. Okay, so let's look at the lesser I want to do it. So we can say check firewall status here. Let's go here. Good. See now. See this firewall that I know. Say Windows Defender firewall on. See incoming connections. Block all connections. So in other words, no computer can access to the computer because the firewall is on. So if for instance someone trying to ping my network, they cannot ping because firewall is on. So you see active public network. So even the public network, the Wi-Fi too, the same thing. Firewall is on. So how do you stop it? If you want to stop it, you just go to turn on and off. So here you're going to turn it off. See, now you can off it here. So this is private networks. Private network is for your internal network. This is public for the internet. You can turn them off. So how you do that, you can have users be able to come in to access your files. Alright. So uh, that is firewall. So VPN and WAN connection. So VPN is very important feature. So VPN allows to connect to a remote network, right? So when I mean a remote network, it could be that you work with a company, and some VPN means virtual private network. So you work with a company as a staff or whatever. It could be a marketer or a client or a business associate. So somewhere you have to travel outside of the business premises, and you need to connect to that company back to your company work or whatever. You need to connect back. So now VPN is one way to provide to make that make a secure connection, that will tunnel all over an unsecured network. Because wherever you are browsing for the internet, which is an unsecure connection, to your network that is secured. So a VPN give you that provision whereby you can connect all over the world, wherever you are, through the internet, which is an unsecured way, to your secured network. So we call it tunneling protocol. Right, so that is VPN. Now, how to set up VPN is a straightforward thing, right? So we can go here, like you see here now. Take a look. This is a typical example. You open add VPN, VPN provider, Windows debuting, connection name. Just give the name of the connection, then server name, IP address. At this time, the computer you are connecting to, that is the address you're going to put here. Right? Excellent. Then the VPN type. This I'll talk about. The VPN has different type, right? So all depends on the layer of security. Those are form of security, like home authentication, password, keys, and the rest. So if you're doing secure socket tunnel protocol, like this one being choose there. So whatever protocol you're using, then you put it then the password. The password actually is not your password, it's the password to this system. This net server you're connecting to, that what you're going to put here. Then you say, okay, this straightforward thing, right? So how do you do VPN? Very easy. To do VPN, to set up a VPN network, you can go back again to say your asset. You just go to, I can just go to control. I can go to my Windows here and say, I say VPN. If you don't know what to do, see, not this. This is the VPN, but this is not the VPN. These are VPN that are called third-party VPN. So we're talking about VPN on your system, right? These are third-party systems that we just add our IP addresses that is put in. So take a look at this now. Add a VPN connection, right? Open it. So here we are. See, add VPN connection. Exactly. So the same thing we saw earlier. Network name, IP address. We explain all these things. Then you save it. So as you've done it, you're going to create a shortcut on your desktop. It will be on the status bar, depending on how you set it up. Then you just click on it. Then you're going to connect to the remote network, and here we go. That is VPN connection. Excellent. Okay, so let's continue. So what are proxy servers? So proxy settings, is an intermediary. When you say proxy, it's an intermediary. So most of the time when you go to the internet from your computer, you just go to the internet automatically. There's a proxy server. So now there's a server that's already connected to the internet. That is proxy server. So clients connect to the internet via server. That is proxy. So the proxy means that instead of to go to the internet directly, you just go through most of the time. So what we do is most of the time from your computer, when you go to a company each time, right? What you don't know is that when you go to any place, the airport, and you connect to a Wi-Fi, right? And you're on the internet automatically, that is a proxy server. That's the proxy, because you don't have a server now, so but you just have to connect to the internet. So that's the proxy server. So you connect automatically to the internet. So depends on how the security is set up on the proxy server. So you can create content filtering, set up security on the proxy server. You can do cache to improve your performance. So you don't need to bother about those things. Now, so this is a normal. The first one you see here, this one now, is a normal proxy server connection, right? Now we also have the non-transparent configuration. Now the non-transparent proxy server configuration is one that at this time, unlike the first one that you connect to the internet, this time you don't need to go to a server, alright? So you go direct to the internet without going to the server. So you don't go to connect automatically. This time around now, you connect. Your computer will go direct to the internet. We call it non-transparent configuration. That means you must put the port server address on your computer. You type it, port server address and the port number. You type it and put it there. So I mean, this time your computer does not need to go through, a server to connect. It connects by itself automatically. So we call it non-transparent configuration. So mind you, back in the days, internet connection are characterized by what not transparent configuration. I know back then, on our system when we're using the Windows XPs, so we're trying to go to the internet, we have to go and put the POSIX server address on our computer. If not, you're not going to browse. Unlike now that we just do automatic connection. So that is about POSIX server. Okay, so we're done with that lesson. So we're done with that topic. So we are now in topic 14. Troubleshooting Windows networking, very important features. So here we'll look at how to make some network configuration, right? So Windows adapter error states limited connectivity versus no connection. So that times you just try to open the network and get limited adapter errors, like you can get limited connectivity versus no internet. So that means you cannot browse, you cannot do anything, right? So you are getting your network might be showing. If you check your network status, might be showing limited connectivity, no internet. So what do you need to do? Right now, you need to be able to understand there's a tool called IP configuration. So the IP config tool is a network utility tool that can use the word troubleshoot network, right? So, but you have to understand how to use them. Now, the IP configuration, you can do so many things. For instance, now you can check the IP addresses, you can check your IP configuration, all the IP addresses, DNS, everything. Take a look now. Let's go to command now. So IP config, let's go to command, CMD command prompt. This is command prompt now. And see IP config, right? So IP config, the short one now. See, it just gives you few details about your network, everything about this network, all the adapters in most cases give you information about all the adapters. If you have like 5 adapters on your system, 5 adapters, I'm referring to all the available network connected to your system. So if you have 2 network adapters, all of them, IP config will show you the IP addresses, the media type, the name of the adapter that are being used, the IP addresses, the MAC address, sovereign mask, default gateway. It's going to tell you everything. Now mind you, if you take a look now, IP config only doesn't give you a full configuration, doesn't give a full listing of your network. It doesn't give you full information about your network configuration. It does not do that. It just gives you brief form. See, that's IP config. Take a look. Just brief. These are all the different. This is one adapter. This is another adapter. Look at it. Wireless adapter 1. See, just brief information. Wireless adapter 2. See, so it gives you brief, right? If you need to get the full details, right? Full information about your network configuration, what you have to do is say IP configuration /all. Take a look now. Clear screen. Okay. I'm trying to do some command prompt. CLS. Okay, LS. I just do some. Okay. So here we are now. If I want to see, I can use the arrow key. Use the arrow key. The front IP config space/all. There I am. See, IP config /all. So it's going to give me all the information I need, full detail information. For instance, now let's come back to this one now. Let's look at this wireless LAN adapter Wi-Fi. This is our Wi-Fi network right now. Now it will go through all the various kind of connections you have and give you information about all of them, right? But specifically, you are concerned about the network you are using, how you are concerned about. So that's why you have this here now, right? Wireless LAN adapter Wi-Fi. So on this place now, it just give you all the information you want to know. So you already know this is now the name of the wireless adapter. Then here now is the MAC address. We call it physical address. So the address of the adapter. Then this is DHCP. DHCP, you know what this means already. It means what? Dynamic IP addressing is already enabled. So that means our system can get an IP address from the DHCP server. Then you have auto enable IP address version 4, 192.1c. preferred. Sovereign mask, lease obtained, then lease expires. So don't forget, DHCP server, what they do, they give IP address automatically to the client computer. It's not going to be forever. right? So what they do, they list the IP addresses to the computer. When they list it, they expect that after some time, that IP address will expire. Like you see, list 13th of July, so it's only 3 days time to expire. So it depends on how it's been set up. When you are setting up a DHCP server, right? So you, the administrator, you will decide how long when the IP address will last. You can say 24 hours is one day. You can say 2 days. You can set up in hours. So whatever you are going to set up, which means once the IP address is elapses, right? That computer must be able to get a new IP address from this, or else it's not part of the network. So many reasons why this IP address has been used. So here now see default gateway address, DHCP server address, DNS server address, net bus over TCP. So full information about what you will see there. So that is IP configuration, the IP config/all command. Okay, so let's continue. So the IP configuration of command can use to manage so many things. For instance, we have DHCP release and renew. So DHCP release and renew, like, let me explain now. So like I was explaining to you now, I was explaining to you that DHCP, is dynamic host configuration protocol. So what it does, it gives IP address to computer automatically. That's what it does. So when you go in network and mostly Wi-Fi network, so you go to the Wi-Fi, you use the Wi-Fi network, you don't need to do anything, just connect. As long as you just connect to the Wi-Fi network, automatically on the network. So what happens? It means that there's a DHCP configuration there on that network that's providing you IP address, right? So before this server has been set up, there's certain configuration that must take place. The first thing is that the administrator will set up the IP addresses ranges that the server will use. We set everything up. So when you set it up now, that means your client computer, when they connect to the network, they're going to get IP address automatically from the DHCP server. Now, we explained something earlier. We said the address that have been given to client computer, they're not permanent. They're being leased to them like a loan. So when you lease out something, you expect when the lease will expire and you want to collect it back. So the address that has been leased out, you can lease out for 1 day. So when an IP address is leased out for a day, it means that once that IP address expires, right, that computer will no longer have IP address. So that computer automatically need a new address, right? So when you notice that your client computer doesn't have an IP address, right, what do? You can go and do release. So release means that you're trying to take this server to release an IP address for your client computer. How do you do that? Go to the computer, say you can go to your DHCP server release and say DHCP/release, right? So release now means that the DHCP server will now release IP addresses. So because the DHCP server has all the addresses that expired, it has all of them. It has all of them that's expired. So when you say DHCP/release on the DHCP server, it's now releasing new IP addresses to that computer. Now renew means that when your client computer now, right, has not got an IP address, you can do a renew, right, so that you can get new IP address. Because suppose that this server released IP address to your computer and your computer have not gotten the IP address. So what you need to do is to go to IP config/or DHCP/renew. So how do you do that now? Very easy, So you just go here now, take a look now, go back to command prompt again. So this is command prompt. So here we are, command prompt. Okay, so this command prompt now, I'm just going to clear screen, CLS. This is command prompt now, right? So here now, if I say IP config/renew, take a look. This DHCP, see? What do you see? Say no operation can be performed on internet while it has media disconnected. So what it's saying is that no operation can be connected here because what? My network adapter is not connected. You understand that? So because it's telling me that my LAN is not connected, so it cannot be done. That's what it's saying now. You understand that? So See, no operation can perform on internet while it has media disconnect. So nothing going to happen here. That's what I'm trying to say. So these are how we go about it. If you want to do a DHCP release address, the same thing. You go there and say DHCP. You can do this. It's now DHCP what release. So you can do this on DHCP server, right? DHCP release, enter. So see, so here now it's going to look for the DHCP. If this is DHCP server, it's going to be able to release IP addresses. Understand? So why the renews what for the clients to be able to get a new IP address to renew. If to renew a new IP address is that, so the previous one is now obsolete, so they need the new ones to do DHCP starts renew. Okay, so let's go back to the hostname command. Hostname command is a way to know the name of the network. That's hostname. What it does. So just tell you the name of the network. We tell you, like I told you, if you want to know the name of the computer on the network, just the hostname. So you're going to tell the name of the computer on the network. So let's continue. Okay, so we have other tools like traceset. So the traceset tool is a powerful tool in Windows. So it's going to trace all the paths that your computer, or your network will pass through before you get to destination. If, for instance, now you're trying to go to google.com, you're browsing Google, how do you know all the paths your traffic will travel around before you get to Google, right? So in most cases, your traffic has to travel through different routers. So in networking, a router is a network, right? A router is one network. Because routers, what they do, they connect networks together. So when you're trying to access another network, like we explained earlier, default gateway, right, is a router that will connect to another network. So the router that each time you're going to the internet, is a router that connects to the internet, and you're going to go to a specific website. Before the router gets there, it has to pass through several networks to get to the destination. That's a network. Networking is joining your computers and networks together all over the world. So the internet rather. So so when you want to know the paths, the network will go through, what do you have to do? To do what? Traceset command. So say for instance now, let's say we want to know how do we get to, what are the paths our network will pass before you get to Google. So you can, similarly, you can go back to command again the same way, right? Just type, see, traceset, this is Yahoo now, see, traceset www.yahoo.com, right? Traceset, look at this, traceset, and press enter. See, unable to resolve target system name www.yahoo.com. So you can try, if you cannot resolve it, you can try, let's try logo. Okay, it cannot resolve because our network is down. So that's why there's no network right now. That's why it's not going. So there's no internet here right now. So we have issues. So the internet is not connected to the internet. That's why I cannot resolve it. So the traceset need the internet to be on, right? So what I could do now, I could just put on my hotspot just to show this until the internet comes up, right? So let me put on my hotspot now. I'm going to put on my hotspot. Here we go. So I'm going to on my hotspot now so that I can do this. If the internet comes on before then, that would be fantastic. So I'll put on my hotspot now. My hotspot is on. So it's on now. So put on my hotspot now. It's going to come up very soon. So I can use my hotspot to demonstrate this. So here we go now. Okay, this is my phone. So I'm going to connect it now. Excellent. So I'm going to have internet soon. Okay, so it's connected now, right? So we can try it again now. So let's go. So there's the command. So we're going to say traceset, right? Space www.yahoo.com. Enter. So what do you see now? So it's going to trace. It's going to take through all the various parts See, this is now. See, it's going to be counting. So this is one network, right? So that network is called your router. This is one network now. So you're going to be going through. So this is another network. So this time now, there's a connection problem in this place. It means that this part is down. They have a connectivity issue here. They will have another one here now. See, so you see, it's going to tell you in milliseconds the time it's taking you to get there. You're going to go taking through. You understand that now? So these are the IP address, so on and on. So all these things you see here, that each of them is the network, the router, each of them is the network, each of them, we call it up count. We call him up count, right? So we're still going to come back to this. Let's go back to, So up count, I just talk about the up count now, right? So the up count is the numbers of router, all these ones is going through. So see, so okay, here we are now. So so the up count, numbers of router is going to pass through like each of these places. 1, 2, what is that up count? 1, 2, so here now 1, 2, each of the network now is a up count. So all the router is passing through up count. Router ingress interface. Now when we say router ingress interface, is the interface that receives every internet connection. So all these are interfaces now on each of the router, right? So all this interface, they receive incoming connection, called the ingress interface. Round trip time. What is the round trip type of this connection in milliseconds? These are the round trip time. Now, what is the distance in terms of latency speed, the speed of the network, how often, what is the throughput, that as you're receiving signal on like that, right? So the path ping is the same thing with what? The path ping is the same thing with the tracer tools. Another way to troubleshoot network connectivity is just the same way. If you go to path ping and the network, it's going to give you the statistics of the network. Same way, right? Path ping, yahoo.com, and whatever the IP address is, it's going to give you the same thing. Then you can look at it. This time, going to give you statistics of the network, tell you more information and stuff like that. That's the path ping. All the paths, is going to pass through. It's same like tracer, right? Yeah, but we have to be fast because they have like most light to handle. Okay, so next thing now is name resolution, DNS. How to troubleshoot DNS, name resolution. So troubleshoot name resolution now. There's a command called the NS lookup tool. NS lookup. That way is to troubleshoot DNS name. So go to command, type NS lookup. Just follow go to command prompt and type NS lookup and just follow the prompts. Then from there you can be able to find a way around it, right? So know that NS lookup, LS lookup is a tool to troubleshoot name resolution DNS. Just know that in case it's in your exam, right? So what's other part? Net stats. The net stat is to show the network status of network. So all these are slashes we use. Let me just show you net stats to show you status of the network. Let's see. Let's go back again to command prompt and let's go here. So we're going to say clear screen, then net stats. I hope I'm not. I'm sure there's no arrow there. Let's confirm very well. Okay, so net stats. There's no arrow here. Okay, here we are. So enter. So next start now is just showing you active connections. So you see, show your TCP protocol is more details. It's going to give statistics of your network, that's going to give you of that network you are using. See, even there's a WhatsApp established through that also connected to the internet. This is my WhatsApp. Is it connected? So telling your WhatsApp is connected, right? And on. So it's going to give you status of the network, right? So if you go back again, it has. Let me close it. Let me just see. Let me just close it now. Control C, we end it, right? So if I go back again and say, put the question mark there. See, all the switches that come with it. See, that's a display all connection and listing. So display, all the switches that it puts. So if I say nestats -A, for instance, see, nestats -A. See, what is seeing now? It's telling me different thing. Local addresses, foreign addresses. This Sam Bemi is the name of this computer, right? It's listening to established port. So it just tells you, display all connections and listening ports. So the port that open and listening, you're going to show it to them. Shall we display the executable involved in creating it? So it's very important. The next step is very important. So I would advise you to spend time to go through each of them. Right? Excellent. Okay, so I think that is all for that's all for this lesson. So go to 14C, configure Windows security settings. So security settings, very important. I'm going to rush this now. So local security controls. So we need to understand that security is very paramount when it comes to working with your Windows environment. So we have physical security, procedural security, logical security, right? Now, the most one that is very important is the logical security. So the logical security, it tells how to use the access control. The access control, yes, so that is the access control that is enforced by the software. So access control are security settings that are enforced by the computer software using the OS that are being enforced by it. We call them access control. Now we have other form of local security, authentication, authorization, and accounting. Now, what's authentication? Authentication simply means the process you try to log into the system. So they are using a smart card, they are using an ID, username and password. It's authentication. Authorization is that you have to be authorized, to use this to use an object in the network, for example, a file. So the file that you're authenticated doesn't mean you can use an object like a file that is shared on the network, or a folder. So you must give the necessary permission. That process of giving permission is called authorization. Then accounting means that for whatever you are doing on the network, on the system, the system should be able to audit it. Like event log should see it and know that this is what you've done. It's called accounting. So it's the process of you auditing whatever is happening. It's called accounting, right? So we have the access control list. It's just simply when you create an object like a folder and you put some set of permission. Let's say for example, you say read permission on that folder. So whoever is added on that object is going to have that read permission. Implicit permission, implicit deny permission. So a denied permission means that nobody can use that resources at all. You have been denied to use that denied permission. Least privilege. So the least privilege is the lowest privilege you can ever have, the lowest one. Like for instance, they say your privilege is just to read the file. That's the least privilege that you have. So users and local accounts, we explained this in our previous class. We will talk about them. We explained all these things in our previous classes. User account, we have local account, Microsoft account, security groups, all these we've explained all these things in our previous classes. We're not going to explain this, so I advise you to go back to our previous classes and look at this, right? Very important. User account control. So all these things too, we've explained them in our previous lessons. I'm not going to talk about this. I'm going to move on to something new. All these things, please, I would advise you to go back to our managing Windows especially. We explain all these things there. So authentication method. Okay, let's look at authentication. It looks like it's something that is new. So even though we explain it, we'll just look at it. So authentication, we said earlier, is a way to connect to the system in the way you have to be verified. So you can do that through a smart ID card. You can do that through your fingerprinting, facial recognition, whichever way you use to connect to the system, that password or whatever. It's called authentication. Now, in these days now, for security reasons, it's always advisable to do multi-factor authentication, right? So more than one authentication, so that in case someone have access to your first authentication, maybe you do email, someone log into your email, and on your email, before they can get access to your one or two things, they also need one kind of form of authentication too. So you can say, okay, fine, email is the first one. The next authentication is phone. That's at times you get your email. For your email, you still have to verify on your phone. You get the message on your phone to verify so that people don't have access. So these are two-step authentication, all right? So which could be your email. So we also have authentication application too. So we have app that can do authentication for you. So in other words, you set for authentication. The first one is through the email, second one is through the app. So the app, you go to the email, then you go back to the app to go and verify on the app. Those are two forms of authentication. Hardware token authentication. We have hardware token hardware. So you can say, okay, I want the first authentication to be my phone number. Second authentication will be the hardware token you have. So you get the phone number, you verify the phone number for the second time before they can be able to access the account. Your hardware token must also go verify. So on your hardware token and be able to verify. So those are form of authentication. So I'm trying to be fast. So Windows login. So all these are various types of Windows login. So Windows login, we have Windows authentication, which could be local, network, and remote network. Local means you are just logging to the computer. Like this, my computer is a local computer. I just log in. Network means I'm logging to the network resources, to the network. Then remote means, so I have a remote server elsewhere. I need to log into that remote server. So which you can do by using the password. Windows Hello. Windows Hello is a form of authentication that uses what fingerprints, facial recognition, and what PIN, personal identification number. So when you have Windows Hello, that's what it's saying. Single sign. Windows single sign is what called keyboard authentication, authorization, and passwordless single signing. Now, Windows signing means that single signing means if you have several platforms on the network, all right. So now you're on that network. Maybe you have account server, you have app server, web server, different server on the network, right? You just need one sign-in, one single authentication, one sign-in. As soon as you sign into that one, automatically you can use all the various servers you have in the organization. We call it a single sign-on. It's very important. So where is it stored? It's stored on Kerberos. We call it Kerberos authentication. So just simply where you have Active Directory, everything set up and use it, right? So Windows domain and Active Directory. So we talk about domain. So domain is the local group of computers in network. So each time you go to computer, a network, right? So every domain you go to, they have users that work on network. So the domain have a name, right? So that domain name, is being set up by what we call controlled by a domain controller. So the domain name is actually a name given to the domain, and it only happens when you have the Active Directory installed. So Active Directory have to be installed, right? So domain controller is the one that will control it. So the computer you install the Active Directory is called domain controller. So that will control the entire domain. Right? Excellent. So on and on, we have security groups. Security groups are default securities you have, like administrator group, power user group, all the kind of form of security. So know that the administrator, they are always the super user. They have all the control on the system. Then OU is called its organizational unit, just like an organization, right? So it's the highest form of web to set up security in an organization. So when you create an OU, you can put department inside the OU, not just department, different resources inside that OU. Then you can say, okay, you can give the OU permission. You give the permission, whatever permission you give to the OU, or whatever access you give to the OU, everybody in that OU will have that access. We call it organizational unit. It's the advanced way of creating groups, right? Okay. So what are group policies? So group policies are very important, very essential. Group policies. So group policies, they are a set of rules that intend to regulate, how users work on the network. So there are rules and features. So they regulate how users work, what they do on the network, right? So we call them policies. So those policies are what you're going to set up. So when you set up the policies, they are saying that if, for instance, now you have computers that always go and download automatically on the internet, right? They just, as soon as they connect to the internet, update, they just download to update. You can use group policies to restrict that. So you don't want computers to be updating, getting updated to the internet. So what you do, you can create a group policy that states that you want only computer A to get the updates on the internet. Then when computer A gets the update, let all the computers get the update for what computer A. So you create the group policy, create it in a way that as soon as you create it, right, computer A get the update and distribute to every other computer on the network. It's called applied. You apply to a computer on the network. That's it. So how is it done? You create a group policy attached to domain and OU, organizational unit, apply to computer and user account, then these are ways procedures to do it through the administrative template, right? So you have to go through good policy. How do you get to good policy? I'm going to show you now. Let's see some few things you know about good policy. What's login script? Login script is the script that will run the minute you just log in. We call login script. There are a lot of scripts that run when you just log on the computer alone. But let's take a look at updating and monitoring policies. GP update. Each time you create a policy, like we just talked about the good policy now, to apply it, you have to use GP update to apply the policy. Now, if you want to see the results of a good policy on the network, on the computer, just say GP results. It show you all the latest good policy that is applied on that system. Right? Okay. So, you are wondering, how do we get this good policy, right? Okay. So, we explained that in our previous classes, but just for learning purposes, I'm going to show you again now. We can go to MMC, right? Let's go to MMC. You need to go, you need to go back to our previous classes, right? So we talk about MMC in our previous classes, Master Management Console. So it's the administrative tool anyway. So let me just see if I had some I have some toolbox I've created, MMC I've created here. So excellent. So I'm going to look for good policy here now. Okay. So all these are see local policies. Here you can see the local policy because it's not in the domain. That's why I see local policies, right? It's a domain that been good policy, right? So you do that on the domain controller, So here we are now, local policy, right? So this is administrative template. So we can start creating what we just said now. So these are the good policies. But in this computer, because it's not the domain, we call it local policy. Because the policy that you set here is one that will regulate the entire, system, policy of the system and the work. So here you can look at, let me say, if I want to apply it, look at control panel, whatever, all settings, I can go all settings. So you take a look now. So prevent lock screen background motion. First specific default lock screen and logo image. Prevent changing lock screen. So many things that you see about your computer, you can prevent it from here. You can prevent it. Anyway you configure, you see, like click on it and say edit it. And you enable it, which means it's going to happen. You understand that? It's going to happen. So that is a good policy, right? That's a good policy. So mobile device management. So it's a software to manage all mobile devices in the organization. So when user comes to your system, when a user put a mobile device comes to your company, your company has a registered network, everything is well done, policies, everything. So as soon as the user comes in, right, and authenticates your network, user's information, name, and everything will store on the mobile device management, for security reasons, and they can be able to restrict user, what user can do on the network, or the mobile can do on the network, stuff like that. It can control app that user can use, so the user cannot install anything, watch the user on the network, and on like that, right? So they control use of apps and device features and the rest. It's okay. So finally, we move to the last session, managing Windows shares, right? So we talked about this earlier, turn on sharing and on like that. We talked about it earlier, turn on shares, stuff like that. So let's go to, okay, these are two shares, right? So all these are common shares. So if you see this dollar sign, admin sign, so we call them default shares. These are default shares that are not seen. So for instance now, on your C drive, C, which is your root drive, is shared by default, but the CD you will not know. Your C drive. That's why if you go to a computer, any computer, you just open C drive, right? They are shared. C is shared by default. So that's why I said that dollar is an hidden share that nobody see. The same thing with the admin. The admin dollar sign means what? That Windows files are being shared by default. So Windows files, and you open, you can see them. They are being shared. So that's what the dollar sign is standing for. So if you want to share your resources and make sure nobody know, add the dollar sign. You share the network, so nobody will know. You understand that? So when you click on go to network and click on network and turn to network, and you will not see all these files there shared. You can see other files, but this one will not be accessible, not be value for anyone to see on the network. unlike other folders and resources that have been shared in the network. Okay, so like this is what I'm saying. See, this is now networking, right? When you come to network, so all these are computer in network, right? So if you open a computer, you could see files that are shared on that computer and documents and folders that are shared. But if the folder has a dollar sign on it, it's not visible on that share to be hidden, but share is hidden. So it's only the administrator who knows that can access it. So usually that's dollar sign that usually for administrator who use them to hide the file that's shared in the network, so that in case an unwanted user manage to have access to that computer, they can't see all those hidden files. Manage to enter the network, they cannot see them, they're hidden, right? So some of these things you can use to now what's called mapping of network drives. Very important. To map a network drive, right, means that you if you have a folder, and you have a folder, and you want that folder to appear on the network as a drive later, just map the drive. So that was used mostly in a server in a company or organization. If they have a network that users use all the time, a folder users access all the time, so you could just create a network drive, and map everybody to it. So everybody just be using it. If you want people to be saving specific folder on network, create a network drive. When you create a network drive, everybody can be saving specifically to that folder. So if you create the network drive, share the folder, share the folder, create the network drive, map. Then go to the computer, map the drive. Very easy to do that. So you just go there, map the drive. As soon as you map it, everybody can have access to that. So how do you do it now? Someone's going to ask me, right? Okay. So typically to do that, you can go to C. So typically to do that, you can go to your C drive. This is C drive, right? So we can look at a folder. For example, this is a folder. I can see networking, right? So here now, you cannot be able to do that successfully because what? Before you can do that, you must be able to share that file. So you can do that, right? So go to properties. This is how we share file now. I can see sharing. So look at it. I will share it now. So everyone group owner, yes, just see share. So I'm sharing now. So that file is being shared in the network. So it's been shared. Then I'll say okay, change settings, yes. So I will say done. So that file now is shared in the network, right? So what do? This lone IT is sharing. So in other words, if I go to the network, right, like this network now, if I want to access that lone IT, I'll go there now, right? Then when I come here now, I should be able to navigate because there's no network here. So I don't show you no network setup. You are seeing all the content network here. So I would have gone to that computer that has lone IT. I open it now, I see lone IT there. What do? I'll just select lone IT on network and say map network drive. Option 1 can say map network drive. So automatically that lone IT will appear on my computer like a local drive. So just like here, like you have here now, see, to appear as a network drive here. So that's how to do network mapping, right? Map network drive. So thank you very much. So I see continue. You see continue our classes. So all those commands. This is how to share a network printer, right? Printer sharing. So you share a network on the printer and you want to have access to it, right? So say for instance now this computer, a printer is attached to this computer. So what do I do? I'll just go to, of course, I'm going to share that printer on the network. Then go to that computer on the network. I see this is a computer now. Open it. You're going to see the available shared, like we said. So all these are shared drives. So on that you open it, like click on it and say connect. It means you now you can be able to have access to that printer on the network. You can print to it on the network. So easy, right? So NTFS or shared permission. So what is shared permission? Shared permission is normal share we just did like a folder, right? Then we have NTFS permission, which is a new file system. NTFS permission, they give you these are kind of permission when I talk about NTFS permission. See, these are permission. You see, so they give you this folder permission, normal permission. See, everyone NTFS permission, they give you details. You understand? So NTFS permission, you have more details. You can create more shares on it. Understand? So we also have effective permission. Effective permission is all the permission that you have. All For instance, take a username Samuel. So Samuel can be in a group that have read permission to an account file. Samuel itself can be in another group that have full permission to accounting file. Some can be in another group again have change permission. So at the end of the day, and even Sam himself has access to that accounting file too, but read access. So when all the permission will be put together, the most effective permission is will now be used. So in as much as Sam has full permission in one resource, has the read permission, has change permission, has the read, is the read permission that will become the most effective that we use. So remember, if deny permission is there, if Sam has full control as one resource, has change, whatever permission you have, so long as they deny permission will override what all the other permissions. So deny permission becomes the most effective permission. So these are permission inheritance. We just explain permission inheritance. So we just explain them now. Domain setup, join domain, all these things, we explain them. Home folders and direction, right? So what are home folders? So home folders are configure personal share for each user on file server. User access home folders map drive. So home folders are the folder is shared on the network on your computer. We call them home folders. So you can tell on your network. All these are, for example, all these are on computer. Okay, not what I'm trying to say. If you share a network now on my computer now, if I share a folder on the network, so that folder inside my computer, for me, that's a home folder on my computer. Alright, that's a home folder. So if I'm accessing a resource on a network, it's not a home folder. But the one on my system is a home folder. Right? So that is what we call home folder. Roaming profile folder. What is a roaming profile? Now, when you work on a network all the time, if you're a type of person that roam around, that goes around from one desktop to work, so what you need is a roaming profile. So a roaming profile means that you can have same desktop settings, everything, same profile, everything on every computer you work on. So roaming profile will ensure that even if you say you found you work on computer 1, you say you found the desktop, you go to computer 2, right? That file is on the desktop will also appear. If you log in with your user account on computer 2, all your desktop settings, even the file you store will also appear. We call them roaming profile. So you can move all over the network and you get the same desktop settings. And file set, everything, you're going to get them. So what is folder redirection? Now, by default, when you work on your system, you save to what? Either you save to document or desktop. Now, a folder redirection means that you can redirect the saving of the file to your computer to a network share, to a network drive. So if, for instance, now you want to be doing backup, you want to back up your server. So you want to back up your file server all the time, and you have users that normally work. So what you can do a folder redirection. So when users save to that document, instead of trying to store that computer, that file we stored on what? On the folder, that you've done that on the file server where you have that redirection on. So when you do a folder redirection now, you connect the folder. Okay, let's take, for instance, now, right? We have two computers, computer A, computer B. So computer A is the normal computer, while computer B is the file server, right? You want computer A to be saving to computer B, which is the file server, right? So how do you do that? So when the user works on computer A, by default, the file will be stored on document on computer A. But with folder redirection, as long as the user work on computer A and save the work, instead of the file to be stored on document of that computer, it will be stored to a computer B because you don't folder redirection, right? Okay, so that brings to the end of lesson 14.